a lot of people from my generation or what I see around me, a lot of people are not even interested in news in media. They don't care. They have their own little social lives, in how big or small that is, and they kind of it's. I don't know if it's like a product of the society or not, but there's just little social worlds, online social worlds that are happening that are not connected. I mean, there's a website there that I didn't know about, and so many other people, and there's just not a uniting thing there, and that's some people would say that's the beauty of internet, because it's so uncontrollable. Nobody can control it or tell you where to go, unless you so yourself choose. So again, now to jump back is how do we do that? How do we kind of create that interest within young people? Where do we have access to them? We have access to them in schools, and so a lot of them don't go to college or university or post-secondary education. So high schools, I think, is a very particular age where they understand enough, so you can spark an interest there. You can create something there within them that kind of continues on and do that. And yeah.
I'm glad you pointed that out. We've been talking a lot about news and even new media and its ability to deliver news. When in actuality, Canadians watch drama. That's really what Canadians are watching. CSI is still the #1 most rated show in the country, and so there's a couple of issues there. There's a shortage of TV writers of any diversity, whether they are. With exception to being well represented in having a lot of representation from the gay and lesbian community as TV writers, there's not a lot of diversity otherwise. So the fact that there was Little Mosque on the Prairie, that was wonderful. I'm so glad that happened, and that actually saved CBC. The joke now is that the Muslims saved CBC, but have we been able to produce something else? Because the novelty of Little Mosque on the Prairie only lasts so long. Even the best TV shows like Heroes only lasted, for a certain period of time. After some point, it doesn't have the same kind of impact. Well, if we have a shortage of Asian, South Asian, Aboriginal, disabled, you name it, black writers that can produce drama that Canadians want to watch, that Americans want to watch. Sorry, it has to be. American media is really the most powerful form of media in Canada. We're actually not getting to the imaginations of the we're not getting to the Canadian psyche.
But it goes back to the other issue, which is to what extent has these networks and media organizations reached out to people in those communities? I know so many writers who are struggling, and the rest of them, in terms of this thing. I mean, you can give them a little bit of an incentive, okay, and say, okay, it's like, let's see what you have done. Then almost like a competition, a quasi-competition, give them just a little bit of a stipend, to see that, they have done something basic. Then leave it open and say, okay, if you come up with something pretty very decent, look at what we're going to kind of pay you, okay? As opposed to leaving that person, he needs a job, okay? It's almost like being an artist. You're either a painter or a musician or whatever, you have to have a regular job that pays the bill. The other one is more of a hobby. But that little kind of support from the mainstream media can actually spark the curiosity, and the artistic talent of most of those people and get them going, okay? Then that lack of talent that you thought wasn't there.
Oh no, it's not that there's no lack of talent.
Yeah.
The talent is there. It's just their shows are not getting produced. Their ideas aren't being.
But if they encourage that, okay, that becomes an extra incentive, I mean, if the news organizations encourage that, they go out of their way, knowing that, for instance, the Mosque on the Prairie serves CBC. So why hasn't CBC become proactive? Okay, that kind of sort of look for the next Mosque on the Prairies. That's one. The second thing you pointed out is, how do we attract their attention? Well, make it cool. This is the cool generation, okay, whatever that means. And whatever it is we're doing and the rest of it, there's this big debate among media scholars about what they call infotainment, especially in news. The mixture of information and entertainment. Is it a good thing or is it a bad thing?
Sorry to interrupt. I have to disagree. I don't think you can make anything cool. I mean, for my experience, there's no there's no such thing for these guys as cool. I mean, they have a starting point, right? They start from here, and then they get interested in this and this and this, and it's this connecting dots that becomes this web. It's not necessarily, oh, they see something right over there, they don't even look back there. If it's the greatest thing, it has to kind of fit within that, and where you are developing them in schools, and how you develop them, and where you put those dots is where they can go later on, connect to different things, I think.
Mm-hmm. No, I think, you're probably right, but this debate, has been a big concern, among, media scholars, I mean, for probably a decade or two now, which basically is, you're right, a lot of people, are not interested in news. They're not even interested in anything serious. They just want to go and hang out and chill out, that kind of. It's amazing how many Canadians today don't even know that the rate has been dropped and there's an election campaign going on.
I know.
You'll be surprised, it's probably up to 60% of Canadians if you conduct an opinion poll. Okay, my students who are majors in communication, I mean, I'm teaching a course this semester on media and globalization. And basically it's a third level course, it's a senior level seminar. And you come into class, that kind of, so sometimes they don't even try to catch up on the news to find out what's happening around them. And I say, how can you be students of communication? And you're studying globalization, and you don't know what is happening. So what I did is a 4-hour seminar. I used the first 30 minutes. So what are the major events around the world that has happened since our last lecture, which is about the week earlier? Then it's like we have to start analyzing that and the rest of them, and then eventually. And I said, no, this is what has to be your primary focus, okay, first and foremost. The point I'm trying to make is make it cool. Let me give you an example. Part of the problem with CBC is that a lot of people think it's like, oh, it doesn't appeal to the younger demographics. I mean, they look at maybe Peter Man's preach, it's like, oh, it's like, it reminds you of your avuncular uncle, that kind of stuff, giving you a talk in the evening. And what did they try to do? They brought in George Astrombouropoulos. Okay, I mean, I don't know whether he has dramatically changed, that kind, but at least more younger people started watching him because of his background in much music or whatever, where he came from. And you see him, he dresses like one of you. He's got his earrings and the rest of them, So they see him as cool. And he is doing that, still talking news. Or recent events. So what I'm talking about is, I'm not saying everybody is going to suddenly become a news junkie overnight, okay? A lot of people are just interested in their beer and their whatever. But if you try to reach out and make it, it's a cool generation, whatever that means. Okay, try and find a way to appeal to what they like. And that's one of the things they're kind of dumping down, they find fascinating about American programs. And most of them, that's why they watch more of American television than anything else. So if you go out of your way to try to reflect their issues and sensibilities, then chances are that you can get some converts back. Not all of them, but some of them may say, okay, I like this. So they watch George, but they don't watch Peter.
And I think young people also are so glued on to comedy shows that speak their language. Like even Jon Stewart, who's an American, he has a good following with young people. Is it in style? Is it, I mean, it's very, very interesting in terms of acting cool, maybe. For us, my generation, we can say, ooh, but young people probably get it. Yes.
I want to know, I mean, how much of this is actually new? I mean, how different is the young generation today than it was in, in anybody? I mean, is it really very different? I don't think so.
I think, part of what you talked about, the globalization and media, I think it's a sad thing that a lot of my friends at school have to deal with is they come from backgrounds of of war and whatever, and people are so used to it now. They've lost all hope in the world and news, and they're like, we don't care anymore, we're just gonna go watch some drama. And I really agree with you on the power of drama. I think drama can build communities quite a bit, and my parents watch drama. They watch news as well, but they really watch drama. They have their shows set. It was funny. we lived. They lived in Turkey for a while. So while we were there, we would watch I think it was a Colombian or Mexican show that was dubbed into Turkish, that I would sit there and translate for my parents as we were watching this show. So, you know, that kind of really pushes them to get involved. The things that interest them, things that are universal, I think. And dramas bring out a lot of that.
That's
and
so true.
yeah.